Well, the Toronto real estate market has kept us on our toes once again, despite the Bank of Canada doing the thing where they dropped the overnight lending rate by 25 basis points, which many people thought would actually cause buyers to re-enter our market. Well, that really didn't shake out as planned. Prices were okay in the month of June 2024. Sales were down quite a bit, and when we look at listings, those are piling up, which played a role in prices easing across most asset classes on a month-over-month basis. But when I say most asset classes, something weird did happen. Condos have held their price for 3 consecutive months, which is pretty shocking when you look at the overall level of inventory and how quickly, or not so quickly, these units are being absorbed. Today's video will cover the June 2024 stats report offered by TREB, which stands for the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, and we will be going over total activity by looking at showings booked and the total number of offers made in June. We'll also go over price changes, total sales. I have news for this section of the video, and then we'll also look at listings, the inventory rate across all asset classes, which will ultimately show us where opportunity lies in our market today, and then we will conclude with a quick rental update. Without further ado, my name is Trey Folks, and I'm a real estate agent here in the city of Toronto in the GTA who loves helping awesome people just like you navigate the real estate market by sharing educational content on a frequent basis. If you would like to connect to see how we could work together, no matter if you're buying your first property, are looking to sell a cherished home to upsize or downsize, or if you're just looking to rent at the end of the day, then we've got you covered here with the Folks team. Click that first link down below and then we'll make it happen. Now, let's get back to the good stuff. Okay, so starting off with the level of activity here in the 416, activity is down about 13.4% month over month and down 30% relative to the same point last year. For context, I'm basing activity from the total number of showings that were booked here in Toronto. So this June saw about 7,700 fewer showings than May of this year and almost 22,000 fewer showings than June of 2023. Most people thought that activity in our market would rebound quite quickly after we saw the Bank of Canada drop that overnight lending rate by 25 basis points, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, but buyers still seem to be sidelined here. The buyers also that I'm helping right now are really taking their time and they're taking things slowly and they're not feeling like they're in a rush to make a decision right away. And we see this happen a lot despite the market that we're in. When everybody is out and they're shaking and making offers, everyone wants to join the party. And when things are slower and when people are sidelined, it seems like nobody wants to be the first to jump off that diving board. So it's clear that our market is really sentiment driven here in Canada, but we'll see what the rest of the year has in store for us. And it's also really important to note that your timeline is specific to you. Just because somebody else does something doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing. Offers are also down pretty noticeably month over month. In June, Toronto saw roughly 3,000 people make offers, which is 600 short compared to a month prior. 2/3 of the offers being made also, so the majority are occurring in the freehold segment of the market. The busiest month of the year here so far occurred in March, where there were roughly 4,930 offers made. I feel like the consumer may be waiting to see how things play out and for continued rate cuts to happen before re-entering the market in a meaningful way. Now, moving on to prices. In June 2024, we saw prices ease across most asset classes here in the city of Toronto. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that the type of housing that was most stable was actually condos, which is pretty shocking. Detached properties had an average selling price of $1.758 million, which is represented by a 3.7% decline month over month. Semi sold for an average price of $1.28 million in June 2024, down 9.4% month over month. Townhouses came in at basically $1 million flat, $1.01 million, which is represented by a decrease of 3.48% month over month, so more modest than that semi category. And condos remain stable at that sweet spot of $763,000, which is 0.51% down from a month prior, so no change there. Sales were also down 11.3% when compared to a month earlier and down 16% relative to the same time last year. The president of TREB was quoted saying that the Bank of Canada's rate cut last month provided some initial relief for homeowners and home buyers. However, the June sales results suggest that most home buyers will require multiple rate cuts before they move off the sidelines. What's also really eye-opening is the fact that total sales year to date are sitting at 36,586 units, which is also 2,000 units shy of last year's totals at this current time. Home sales in 2020 2023 resulted in the lowest number that we've ever seen since 2001. So it will be really interesting to see if activity picks up with continued rate cuts, if those rate cuts are still in the Canadian real estate market's future for 2024. Before moving on to the inventory rate, I wanted to go over the most active price points of where places are selling here in the city of Toronto. For detached properties, you're looking at the bulk of sales happening at 1 million to 1.5 million, with a handful of properties actually going in between the 1.5 to 1.7 range. Semis have most sales occurring at $900,000 to $1.25 million, and condos being the most active in $500,000 to $700,000. I like this chart because it can show you as a buyer where you can expect more levels of competition and people browsing. Okay, now let's look at how quickly places are being absorbed by using that inventory rate. The freehold market is still technically in a seller's market, with semis leading the charge and being the toughest point to access. Semis had an inventory rate of 1.72 months in Toronto for the month of June. Detached properties had an inventory rate of 2.9 months. Townhouses followed and had an inventory rate of 3.6 months in June 2024, and condos had an inventory rate of 6.1 months. Last month, the inventory rate for condos in Toronto was sitting at 4.47 months. So it's taking a month and a half longer for condos in Toronto to be absorbed by the consumer, which has pushed this asset class into a clear buyer's market for right now. Side note, I frequently keep track of a motivated sellers list, so if you would like access, send me your email and I'll add you in. If you're a renter, the market is still really competitive here in the city of Toronto, but things are slightly better than they were for you. The average price of a one bedroom came in at $2,444 per month in June 2024, while two beds sat at $3,200 per month on average. These numbers are down around 1.5 to 2.5%, so you'd save anywhere from $30 to $35 for a one bedroom and closer to $75 for two bedrooms. We are, however, entering a more hectic time period here in the summer, so this may be short-lived for renters. That is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to catch us on the next one. Remember to trust the process and to always fall in love with your journey.